So picking up where we left off, we did our sudo apt-get update to make sure our server is updated and ready to be used for installing Odoo. We also want to do a sudo apt-get dist upgrade. And so, again, the sudo, when you see sudo, what that basically means is we want to take over and use the administrative rights that come with our Ubuntu user. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that. And now, some of the operations you'll do when it has to install new packages are going to prompt you with a yes or no. And notice how it's telling us here that we're going to need 302 megabytes of space. Once it's done, it's going to require 304 megabytes of additional disk space. And so we can go ahead and hit yes to this, and it will continue with the installations. So you can see that even though this is a non-graphical interface, that it's showing us down here a percentage of how much has been already pulled down. We can see over here how much we're getting per second. So we're getting 5,865 kilobytes a second. And then we can see the remaining estimated time here. So you can see it says that there's about 30 seconds left for it to get these upgrades. And what this is basically doing is, just like with Windows and other systems, we're basically patching Ubuntu with any requirements or anything that maybe has been added or changed since the last time that ISO was put together, that release build that we used to install Ubuntu. So much like a Windows update, but for Ubuntu. Now, as this upgrade finishes up, it's basically taking everything that was downloaded, unpacking it, and doing what is necessary to install it within this Ubuntu server. Well, as you can see, there was quite a bit that was done there that was upgraded and it got applied. So remember to take those steps before you move on. And in fact, we can do another. If we use our up arrow, you'll notice that one of the things it'll let you do in Ubuntu is get to previous commands. So we can go up and do a sudo apt-get update to make sure there's nothing left there that Ubuntu didn't install. And it'll go a lot faster this time because everything is there. It's already pulled it. So that's the update. And then we can do the distribution upgrade again. And notice how this time it was really fast. It said it's calculated the upgrade, it's done. There's nothing to upgrade, nothing to install, nothing to remove. So everything is good to go. Now, sometimes, and this is kind of optional, it's good to do a sudo reboot. So it doesn't hurt it for us to do a sudo reboot now, just so that we make sure everything comes back up as expected. So you can type sudo reboot, and that is a way at the terminal level to tell Ubuntu to restart the server. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And you'll notice that we go really quickly back to VMware, and Ubuntu is a pretty fast booting operating system. You'll see that we're already back through the OKs, and we're back here ready for our password again. We put in our password, and everything now is booted up, and we've got a clean installation of the Ubuntu server, as well as a upgraded and updated Ubuntu with all the latest patches. So let's go ahead and start this process of what we need now to install Odoo. So if I hit Control-Alt-T, I can see here that one of the things is that we're in our Odoo Dev user right here, and just a few commands that will help you get around in Ubuntu is you can do ls to list what is in your directory. So when we get into our terminal, it's basically giving us a file system here where we can have our music, videos, pictures, templates, because it's a desktop operating system. So because we're going to be working with Odoo, changing files, modifying our own files, we're going to go ahead and set up Odoo to run for us right within this directory. So let's go ahead and install the database Postgres that we're going to need in order to run Odoo. So we type sudo apt-get install. So install is typically used when you're installing new packages. And I'm going to go ahead and type Postgres SQL and hit enter. It prompts us for our sudo password again because we're doing an operation that requires administrative access. We just type in our password, and once again it's going to prompt us because we're using up disk space and this is an important application we're installing. It's just to make sure that we're okay with this. So we hit yes, and the Postgres database is downloaded, and all of the data inside Odoo is stored inside of a Postgres database. And you can see that it's installed it as well as it's also started it up. So we can go right here and see that we started the Postgres 9.3 database server. So Postgres is running. But now we need to tell Postgres that we want our Odoo Dev user to have the rights to create databases and to work with Odoo. So let's see how that would work. What we want to do is we want to use our sudo again to change over our users to the Postgres user. So that su is a command that just basically is switch user. So we're going to switch user, think of that, su is switch user, over to Postgres and hit enter. Now we can see that we've changed users because of this right here at the beginning. So we were our ODev user, now we're actually the Postgres user. And we were able to become the Postgres user because we used sudo here, which is an administrative permission. It gives us access to everything. So we can switch users to any user we wish. In this case, we switch to the Postgres user. Now what we want to do is we want to tell Postgres that we want the ability to actually be able to create databases for this user. So we say create user, and we're going to say create DB. So this is the switch that says now we can create, using our ODev user, without having to go into sudo, we can just use this user to create a Postgres database. The next thing we're going to do, so we're going to say the username Postgres, and we don't need a create role for this user. And basically, the password prompt would be what we want if we were going to, for our actual Postgres user. So we go Odoo Dev and hit enter. And you'll see that it says enter password for new role because we're creating a new role for this user inside of Postgres. So we enter a password. And just like that, whenever we're running inside of our ODev user, we're going to be able to create databases in Odoo. So now I can use exit to get out of our Postgres user. And just like that, we're back to Odoo Dev. We're back to our Odoo Dev user. But we use this command, this create user, create DB, and everything that you see here in the syntax, so that our Odoo Dev user has access to Postgres. So now that we've accomplished getting the basics for the database side of things, now we have a whole set of dependencies that we have to install for Odoo to work. Now, if you do an all-in-one install, like in Windows, or using the Debian source, you can get around this, but for a developer, I think it's important for you to understand the dependencies. It's probably going to be likely through the months ahead, depending on when you watch this videos, that there might be dependencies that aren't already in here. So in this next video, we're going to see how you install dependencies that are going to be required to work with Odoo.